Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ryan and Brian Talk Sports with my co-host Ryan Props and special guest Burroaks. As always, presented by Pickett Sports and Boom Fantasy. And as I've always said, let's get this over with. Ryan, how you doing?
uh, Pretty good, man. It's been interesting to watch free agency. Been kind of tracking move for move. A little sad that we lost two good defensive players. One to San Francisco is kind of annoying, but uh, as long as Kelsey comes back, I'm pretty fucking happy today. I'm still hoping to see that we resign Gardner Johnson here, hopefully during the show. That would be pretty fucking awesome.
Uh,
Pretty cool
thanks.
slate with a lot of high overs, so should be a fun night too.
I appreciate that, Ryan. So that's his segment for the day. Oaks, how you doing?
I'm fantastic, bro. Had a nice afternoon yesterday. Watched some soccer, caught some end of college basketball. Saw the Selection Sunday show. Definitely some stuff I agreed with, some I didn't, and then yeah, just did some live reacts to the Selection Sunday show. Talked a lot of college basketball. Made chicken wings. Had a couple of beers.
Oh
Went to
boy.
bed.
Yeah, I don't bet college basketball like seriously, but like during the tournament, I always make sure I set aside like 500-600 bucks to burn.
Oh yeah.
And I think one of my favorite things I was texting Quan yesterday is I actually made decent money. I've just been taking first half unders of like the Big Ten and some other conferences where, I mean, sometimes the
I have
big
a
for
big.
yeah the
I
first
had
half
a Big
unders.
Ten unders system for a while.
Yeah, like the first, even if it's like Big Ten's one thing, but like even like in general, like during the tournament, I love taking first half unders, and if it hits, I'll take the live over for the second half because some of these three possession spreads, you can see like 30 points in the last 4 minutes because
Oh
it's
yeah.
it's a tournament. You have nothing to lose by fouling. You know, you're down 12. You're gonna come back. No, is it gonna hurt you if you don't foul? Like it might as well, right? Miracles have happened before, so sometimes I like to attack those totals over spreads because if I take spreads, it immediately goes horribly wrong for whatever team I end up taking. I'm a mush in college basketball. I do great in like the sports I cap. I do great in, but if I tail someone on college basketball on a spread, immediately is awful. When Penn State took that 8 minute drought where they only made one field goal, I put like quarter unit on their spread. Right like during the timeout, and then they went 8 minutes without making a basket, and I was like, "That's on me." That's on me. I
Is
was
that
like,
Indiana? First Indiana?
no, that was versus Purdue. They did
Oh
cover,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
like it was like a big spread or like a smaller spread. I'm like, oh, I was like, they're heating up. They got this, and they went on like an 8 minute run where they only scored 3 points. And I was watching with the Penn State fan, and I was like, dude, I'm so sorry. I was like, that's on me.
This
That's
one's
on
on
me.
me, dog. I fucked this all the way up.
There was a game last year. We'll get to the game in a second, but like this is to prove my theory. It was Drake played was it Southern Illinois, I think, last week, and promo guy was on the spread. So I was like, oh, I'll use my boost on that if it gets to a good point live because you got them plus 4.5. So I took them plus 8.5 because it gets started off a little slow and there was a media timeout. So I was like, oh, I'll take them plus 8.5. I'll get good value there. And then Drake they went on an 18-2 run or 18-0 run. And I was like, that's me. I texted him. I was like, dude, that was all me. I hopped in right before that timeout. That's on me. But I think it's a fun time. It's an exciting time, and I think it's good to have Oaks here to talk some college basketball after we crush this NBA slate.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Definitely needed some insight. I did, spend a good portion of the day kind of studying up, but I mean, in all honesty, I've watched a handful of games is probably the best way I'd say it all season. And I used to be a huge Carolina fan, used to watch every single game. Obviously, this year my motivation was a little lower to watch every game because Caleb Love is really atrocious to watch. I'd almost rather rip my eyes out of my head. But I don't know. I used to be obsessed. And I think sports betting ruined it for me because I'm just such a player prop guy and I can't do player props. So I just kind of stopped caring about college basketball till now. Now it's go time. So
Yeah, it's always fun at this time of the year. Like I
brushed
said,
up, brushed up a little bit, learned a lot. I haven't done a bracket yet, but I'll probably do one or two today. But exciting times, dude. Thursday is arguably one of my favorite days of the year when we just have college from a 14-hour
Pretty
span.
much the minute you wake up until way past when you should go to bed, but you're gonna
Yeah,
stay
man.
up anyway.
One of my favorite days of the year.
I will say college basketball, like the March Madness, is the only time I wake up early to go to the gym. It's the only
Yep.
time I can like function in the morning because I don't want to be there when there's games going on. So
Yep.
That's
that's the
fair.
one time. But yeah, let's go into the NBA and then we'll kind of circle back into the March Madness. So Ryan, do you have how many picks do you have in the slate?
I have a ladder and a straight. I have like I love this slate. I just wish we had props to to talk about. All day I've been on FanDuel and DraftKings just kind of waiting for props to pop up. And
Yeah,
they really haven't popped up. Basically the same ones we had at 9 a.m. this morning are the same ones we have now. Almost
maybe
across the
even
board.
less with
Actually,
some of the injury news.
it really might be less. So it's been kind of hard. I think this will be a fairly decent sized volume day. I mean, 5-6 picks is not out of the realm of possibility. Unfortunately, as I sit here now, I have 2 for us, but I could always discuss a couple spots that I have my eye on too.
I agree with that. I also think it's the duality of man here. As someone loves this slate, I actually kind of don't like this slate because it's all high totals and there's no defense, so I can't fade anybody.
Oh, okay, yeah. Fair enough.
I wanted to fade my guy Killian Hayes again. I ended up not doing it just because, I mean, he's not good at basketball, but there is 6 players in that team that are healthy, and he's gonna play like 40 minutes, and I just hate it. Like I hate the idea that this guy's gonna be out there for like the entire game chucking up those shots he calls them, but they don't look like much. But
So would you have gone points, PA, or how would you
points?
have faded?
I think points. I like his assist. I think a lot of people are playing his double, and I think people are expecting it to be harder to get the assist. I think it's gonna be way harder for him to put any points on the board. That's the only thing with the double is I'd almost just take the 10 assists at less odds because man, he does not shoot the ball well in the
No, not at
slightest.
all. Not at all. I'll be checking props. I mean, Indiana. There's a couple guys I'm definitely heavily considering for Indiana to try to get props on. But I mean, we've just been staring at fucking Wiseman, Hayes, and Livers all day. And Livers got pretty interesting. He was a 13-5. It wasn't that juiced when I woke up. And I was like, do I really want to wake up and bet on Isaiah Livers? And I'm just like, I'm not fucking doing that. Like he took 20 shots last game. They opened a 13.5 line. It's compelling. Don't get me wrong, but I'm good. I'm not gonna step in that shit right there. It's not happening.
Are you taking any stock in Livers, their Oaks? I mean, he's the hottest name in the NBA right now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
No,
like
I'm actually in kind of trouble with that one. My fantasy basketball playoffs just started, and obviously Ben Furen is out today, so I'm really hoping that I can get an IR designation on him before this game when he's listed as not playing, so that I can throw him on an IR slot. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to make some waiver wire moves here, like right after the show, because it's playoff time and I gotta win. I'm in my cousin's league with a bunch of his college buddies and shit, and like a couple of them are in Gold Boys to like get my picks and shit. So I will never be able to live down if I lose this NBA fantasy league, like I'm gonna have a bunch of my cousin's homies chirping me like, dude, I picked sports better than you. So that's absolutely intolerable, and I'm in a must-win situation now.
I feel that. I'm in the fantasy basketball playoffs as well. 1 week away from the finals, so fingers crossed.
Yeah, I don't do fantasy basketball because I don't really know the sport too well. Anyway, so my first bet that you should all listen to on this slate is I took an over. I haven't bet sober in 2 days. I did end up betting a large amount of money on the Kings on Saturday night. If you don't know, I'm a huge Kings fan, and I was at the bar and I was like, you know what, this is the perfect time to pay for my drinks by putting 2 units on the Kings money line. They won, it's all great, but I am taking an over, which is not normally something I have been doing as of late, but I took Jaren Jackson's over 20.5 points. MGM had it plus 100. I don't know if it's still plus 100, but FanDuel's giving it at 21.5, and most books have 20.5 juice to the over at minus 125. So like, this is one where you're not paying juice and you feel like you get value either way. But man, if Jaren Jackson doesn't, punch guys in the face or get into foul trouble, this should be easy. This should be an easy one. And the only thing with this is who's going to foul? That's kind of my question. If Luka was active, I would think Luka would push the issue. But he had 3 fouls last game against the Dallas Mavericks, which was 2 days ago.
Yeah.
He only scored 14 points. He looked terrible, but he shot over 5 from 3. And he actually only scored 2 points in the first half, which I actually look for in matchups like this. When you have a back-to-back where a guy went so far under, it's natural to want to take the unders again, but he started the game 0 for 4 from 3 and trying to hit these like deeper shots. In the second half, he scored 12 points. He got to the line 4 or 5 times and he put up points. So it kind of is a little encouraging to think, oh, maybe he figured out that he's playing Dwight Powell and this weak interior that's giving up so much points in the paint that maybe he shouldn't be living on the outside of the arc like he was in the first half. But
Yeah,
the
let
biggest
Bane hang out there and do that.
yeah, like I think Jaren Jackson's one of those guys where he's a stretch 4 and he should 100% be taking a few threes a game. But if he's not the guy that gets the green light if they're not falling. So
Yep.
I think he kind of figured that out a little bit in the second half. And the biggest thing is that he averages 18.9 points per 36 with Ja Morant on the court. That jumps to 26.1 with him off the court. So I'm just hoping that I'm riding the guy that's taking almost 15 to 18 shots or at least drives per game, because last game he only took 12 shots, but he had 8 free throw attempts. So I mean free throws made, I should say. But yeah, I do think this is one of those games where he kind of steps back, reassesses this matchup he just had where he struggled, and finds a way to score. So I do think 21, which he's hit in 3 of his last 4, is very tempting.
Yeah. We texted about that a little bit earlier today. It's one that I eyed most of the day. The only reason I'm not telling this prop now is because Brian said he was going to take it, and I wasn't going to go and mush his prop. But yeah, I'm a big fan of that one. Anything else to add?
That's about it. I think that's most of my points. It's really just a spot where he should destroy that entire interior paint. Since Kyrie Irving, second most points in the paint in the league for the Mavericks.
Yeah. I'll be really intrigued. And obviously, I want Kyrie news. Obviously, so do books because they won't release props. But if there's no Kyrie, obviously, Tim Hardaway and Hardy become very intriguing options for us. They dropped like I think a 13-5 line for Jaden Hardy last game, which is arguably the easiest money I think I've ever made. I think like 7 people in the Discord put it out like back to back to back to back. So I kind of just went ahead and tailed it, I guess. I figured I didn't need to go ahead and post because everybody had already bet it. But
Yo, dude, like it's really important to post the same play 10 times by 10 different guys, and then we all got to sit there and argue about who came up with it first. Like that's
you're right.
the content that people want.
You're right. I'll work on that next time. But he shot 9 of 21, 3 for 9 from 3, and 1 of 4 from the free throw line, and still had 22. If Kyrie's out, and if they hang like a 17.5, I mean, I will no doubt be taking that. Hardaway will also be interesting, but we'll see. I mean, it's hard to say what they're going to set these lines at right now. We shall see. There's so many names that I'm intrigued in. I'm really looking forward to Andrew Nemhard lines for the Pacers, Jalen Smith lines if we can get them before 7:07.
You won't.
Yeah,
but I appreciate your optimism.
I know. All right. Well, let me get into my picks. Last night, me and Stick from the Discord did a collab, our first collab in our history. And it's the ladder, actually. So I'm pretty excited to share. I actually haven't shared many ladders on this show this season. Last Monday at 6:10, I found a ladder spot. I don't even remember what it was, but it hit all the way up, and I found it 10 minutes after the show ended, and I was so sad I didn't get to share it. But anyway, I'm going to go Kyle Anderson assist, actually. So ever since Cat got hurt, Kyle Anderson's pretty much started power forward a lot of that time. And his role's grown quite a bit. In early February, he kind of started losing out to some minutes to Jalen Noel. Noel got hurt, and he's pretty much been out of the picture for a little while now. And Anderson's he's absorbed pretty much all of those minutes. So, I mean, he had 39 last game. It was an overtime game, so he had 34 in regulation. He has the second most minutes on the team behind Ann, of course, over the last 5 games. So his role seems really solidified right now. And this matchup's pretty golden at this point. Atlanta they allowed 25.7 assists a game. And then over the last 3 games, they're allowing the most assists per game at 32. To power forwards, they allow the 6th most assists. And over the last 30 days, that has jumped up to the 3rd most assists to power forwards. Anderson has 5 or more assists in 5 of the last 8 games, and then he has 8 or more 3 of those 8. So he's cashed the full ladder 3 out of 8 games lately, and then gets one of the best matchups you can get. So this seemed like kind of a no-brainer for me to go ahead and ladder this bad boy. I was a little bit more aggressive unit wise. Sometimes I only risk 1 unit total on a ladder. This one I risked 1.3. So I did 0.7, 0.3, and 0.3 was my unit breakdown on this one. Obviously, the 0.7 I went on 4.5. It really depends. I kind of go all over the place with betting ladders. It's kind of depends on consistency. Like if guys are hitting their full ladder pretty often, I'll be a little bit more aggressive. And sometimes I'm okay with just breaking even on these. Obviously, you could just play the straight, win the 1 unit, but sometimes a guy's spot is valuable enough that I'm not, even if he gets just 5 and I kind of more so break even or make a little bit of money, no, I won't really regret it. I think this spot is quality enough to go ahead and see if we can climb that ladder.
I didn't listen, but it sounded great.
Yeah, I mean,
no, I appreciate. Actually, to add on to that, when me and Ryan talk on the show, I always find it comforting. Where I just took that on FanDuel with some free bets with the ladder, but I was actually looking at Anderson's under in points, which in any situation like that, I usually lean the over and assist as well, just because it's one of those things that I think you nailed it on the head though, because I looked at those unders for some of these players on this mishmash team, and then you look at their opponent being the Atlanta Hawks, and you're like, all right, really hard to sell me on an under against a Hawks team that plays defense like a traffic cone. So it's
Quinn Snyder did not come in and help this defense at all.
He came in, he gave Capella more minutes, and like I said, I've said this multiple times. Clint Capella's not good at defense. Rebounds do not equal defense. Same thing with people talk about Joel Embiid not averaging rebounds. They don't play defense. If you're getting a lot of rebounds, it often means you're not contesting shots, and that's what the Hawks do. They don't really contest many shots. So I do think there'd be open shooters, and I do think this is a decent play by Ryan, which is saying a lot.
So bad. A couple of more stats. Obviously, the over-under is 244.5, which is just absolutely absurd. I'd say that's probably a top 15 number on the season as far as like one of the highest numbers. So I mean, the opportunity should be there. He actually over the last 10 games, including Mike Conley, he leads this team in potential assists. So like he's got, Ant has a massive usage rate. Conley doesn't really have much of a usage rate, but he's still point guard. So it was really interesting to see that he dominates the potential assist on this team, which is really cool. So, Conley's, I think he averages like 9 potential assists over the last 10 games, and his line is 5.5 and juiced. So to get, I got it at -104. I'm sure it's moved. I think it's -118 now for the 4.5 on FanDuel. I think it's -110 on DraftKings. So obviously I would take it there. But yeah, I really like this spot. I've caught his ladder all the way up 2 times this season, and would definitely be hyped to make it 3 right here.
I found this on the web.
Don't mind me.
Was that you?
My watch had some input for us.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. I didn't realize you were a watch.
I'm still waiting for a punchline here.
That was it. No, I actually didn't really hear that because I was turning off my fan, so I forgot to turn it off. Sometimes I rush home, so that's my fault. I apologize for the distraction that was with the fan. It is slowly dying, as you can see, but that's my fault. It's my fault.
Do you have anything else to the NBA slate, Brian?
I do actually. I didn't. So you're gonna. So Tone Stamp, can you put the graphic I sent you? I don't know if you got it. I sent it like 2 minutes before the show because I don't really respect your time. It is. If you can tell, whenever
how do we do a show with this fucking guy?
Yo, I sent that in like
dick.
30 seconds ago while I was talking. So like, if you could have that up and ready to go, that would be great.
It was 4:12. I sent it. I'm pretty sure. But as I mentioned, is the reason I bring this up is because out of all the tickets I send in or we have on the screen, it's us betting them. This is one where I haven't bet it yet, which is a clear distinction because I want to fade De'Aaron Fox so bad. I just want to make sure / know what I'm getting into. Giannis Antetokounmpo hasn't really played in forever. His
All-Star game, I think, right?
His knee / illness, whatever it is, I keep thinking he's gonna play. Well, he's been listed for knee, hand, and illness in the last 2 weeks.
Jeez.
Yeah, so I don't know what his deal is, but it was last week where I faded Chris Middleton because he was probable, and he went from probable to out with no designations in between that. He's questionable for tonight. And I do think it's a good place to fade Fox, who since coming back, Fox has gone under in three straight games, and he's actually struggled against the Bucks overall. This season, he only scored 15 against them. And I actually don't hate it if Giannis is out. I just don't think it's gonna move either way. And I kind of want to just have more understanding of what I'm getting into. But De'Aaron Fox did have this crazy scoring run where he was putting up 30 points a game.
Dude, that shit was wild to watch.
And then he I mean, the last 3 games since he he returned 2 games ago, he scored 23 and 18. But it was kind of like it didn't even feel like that because he had some nicer fourth quarters in those games as well. And this is just a matchup where whether Giannis is in or not, you still have Bobby Portis and Brook Lopez, who are such good defenders and such, they offer so much size down low. Where De'Aaron Fox is just a guy that he's not really gonna get hot from 3. So to beat the Bucks in a scoring matchup like this, it's a lot of those times that those catch and shoot shooters that like find the space. De'Aaron Fox is just a guy that relies a lot on driving to the basket and those little like floaters. And this is just a horrible matchup to find those little shots. So I do want to fade him. I just want to make sure I know what I'm getting into with the Giannis injury.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, dude, I'm actually like, this is a weird kind of beside the point, but fairly relevant to what you were just talking about. I'm like amazed in Brook Lopez this year. Like, I think
he's a step up.
He's so good. It blows my mind. He's aggressive. He can score from pretty much anywhere now. He'll put the ball on the floor a little bit, and I think he leads the league in contested shots by like an absolute mile. So I'm kind of amazed in Brook. What a year he's having.
Yeah, so that goes back to my point earlier where give me a guy that can test shots like he does, but averages 5.5 rebounds a game. Like I think rebounds is such an overlooked stat where Brook Lopez 6.5. Okay. Oh, you know what? He did go on a bit of a rebounding run because there's been so many injuries with Giannis and Lopez here and there. But yeah, so much sick analysis on Fox under. I appreciate it. I just talked out my ass. I think that didn't make any sense, but I do think Fox is a guy where I like De'Aaron Fox a lot. Where his biggest strength, I think, is he knows his matchups, and if he isn't scoring early, he's totally okay racking up assists, feeding Sabonis down low, hitting some of these, catch and shoot guys. Keegan Murray. Kevin Huerter has been my biggest surprise this year. He's playing legit basketball. Kevin Huerter used to be the guy that would come out there, catch and shoot, give you 3 threes. But now he's playing defense. He's playing better on ball. He's moving a lot more. He's he's really impressing me this year. And I hate to say it, Grayson Allen's another guy that's been impressing me in terms of defense because he used to be a traffic cone. I hate him. But I'm saying if I'm fading Fox, Grayson Allen has looked a little bit better in certain defensive sets where he used to just kick people and then call it a day. So I do think it's a good spot for, I think Sabonis and Fox might struggle, but Sabonis is set at 18.5. So it's almost like they know Sabonis is a tough matchup and they move that line to reflect that. But Fox getting 25.5 feels it's a better fade because I think it could be around like a 24.5 point line.
Fair enough. Yeah, somebody mentioned in the comments asking about Keegan Murray threes. I just want to kind of like forewarn that Kessler Edwards of all people has like completely stolen his role. Now this is a very small sample size. Actually, this is a 1-game sample size, but out of the absolute blue, Keegan Murray played 15 minutes last game. He was minus 16, and then Kessler Edwards played 26 minutes. Pretty much directly taking his time off the court. So this really might be a 1-game thing. I just want to make people aware of it.
It's happened twice.
Oh, really?
Keegan Murray, he's had 2 games with 20 or less minutes with 0 points. That's
okay. So, on 3-4, he had a 20-minute 0 for 2. So his leash just appears to be quite short at this point. So they're pretty happy at pulling him off the floor. And I guess fucking Kessler Edwards answered all their problems last game because they ended up pulling it out. So
I was gonna add on our guy Ginger Snap, one of our best people in the chat always. He actually mentioned
always killing
how good Mike Brown has been. I actually think I'm a huge Kings fan. If you don't know, I posted on Twitter and in the Discord, but I do have a lot of Kings tickets with Will Hill to win the division at plus 230, plus 300, and plus 150. So go Kings. They're minus 300 right now. We just got to finish strong.
Nice.
But Mike Brown's been so good as a coach with this team and how they've like finished game strongs. But
man.
one of the things Mike Brown does really well that sucks for bettors is exactly what you were just talking about with Keegan Murray. They have so many good wing players when it comes to Monk, Herder. We're talking about
Terrence Davis.
Keegan Murray and like all these other guys. Where if Keegan Murray is starting and he doesn't hit a shot and it doesn't look into the game, Mike Brown's not afraid to say, "Hey, you're out." Like he's really good at understanding his rotations. Where as a bettor, it sucks. But you see these guys that bet on Russell Westbrook and he gets pulled and doesn't come back in, they get really mad. But Mike Brown's been really good with the discipline of his players. Where if your name is not Domantas Sabonis or De'Aaron Fox, you don't necessarily have a set rotation where if you're not performing or if you're not like engaged in the actual game going on, he is so okay being like, hey, out of halftime, we're going with Herder and Monk. Keegan Murray's dropping back. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, maybe you see Murray come back in late third, but it's not impossible for guys just to sit for long periods of time after not performing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's why they're a 2 seed. That's why they're a 2 seed, I think. I think the coaching's been really good.
Yeah, it's been pretty awesome. I missed those tickets for the division there. That's a sick call with all the injuries that Phoenix has had.
I just kept using boost on them. They kept giving those like 50% or 100% boost on what do you call it, the NBA, and I just kept putting them on the Kings.
I like that. Good stuff.
My friend just texted me and said, next time just at me with that Russ comment, because he was also a guy that took a Russ over and was like flaming that he sat the entire second half.
Nice. Gotta love it. I have one more prop, and then poor Oaks, you're waiting so patiently. We'll get to some NCAA.
Let me.
Do you have anything else?
No, let me see your hands. Are you what's going on under there? I gotta see the hands.
Who, me?
All right, Oaks. I'm just making sure.
I'm not jerking off. No,
Okay.
I'm good. I'm straight. I ain't jerking off.
I'm just making sure. All right.
Oh, thank goodness. All right, I can get back to it down here. All right, good. All right, I got one more prop. It is Tyler Hero over 20.5 points, minus 110 on FanDuel. I don't love betting on Tyler Hero, honestly, but I have reason to believe that this could be a really nice spot. He's pretty damn inconsistent, but he still hit this in 53% of games. So, borderline coin flip, but something that me and Brian have mentioned on this show is that, like, Tyler's pretty good when the matchup's pretty good. And then, like, he'll just completely, have a shit game against a hard matchup. So, it's I don't know. It's pretty poetic, really. When he has a good matchup, you can oftentimes just rely on him to do his thing. And then when he doesn't, oftentimes just fade him. He might be one of the easiest players to bet on, in fact. And we've just kind of been sleeping on it most of this year. So I'm going to go ahead and hop on board here. I love the spot. So Jimmy's gone pretty much nuts these past couple games. He's taken 41 shots in a 2-game span. He's had almost a 30% usage rate. Even with that, Hero still had like a 24% usage rate over the past 2 games. So even when Jimmy's out there scoring 35, Tyler still obviously has a really big role on this team. He's locked in for a good 37 minutes now with, I think they're the 7th seed. So, it's do or die time for Miami. Let me double check that real quick. But they're sitting right there in the play-in. They're the last team the first team in the play-in. So they want to get the hell out of there. They're now 3.5 games back to the Knicks. So these games are becoming big. These guys are going to get big minutes. And I like this matchup more for Tyler than I do for Jimmy. And I'm going to just plainly say this. I don't give a fuck about Bam. I think I'm just going to go ahead and proceed throughout life acting like Bam doesn't exist. His props mean nothing to me. I don't care anymore. And I haven't even lost anything on Bam in the past couple of weeks. I don't care anymore.
He's really good defensively. I've made a lot of money taking unders versus guys who play Bam.
I respect that. I'll give you that. I don't care anymore to try to analyze when he's going to be great or when he's not, because I don't think there's any more random player. Throw him against Charlie, he's going to have 3 rebounds. It's almost a guarantee. Hey, give him a golden matchup. He's going to do nothing with it. But anyway, that's my Bam tangent. But Utah, they can still be beat within the paint. But ever since they put Walker Kessler into the lineup, they got a little bit tighter on the inside of the arc. However, from deep, they're getting absolutely slashed. Over the last 5 games, they're averaging 16.6 allowed per game, which is the most of the league in that span.
Evan Mobley hit a 3 against them the other day.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, how about that? Yeah, so I think shooting from deep is kind of the way that they'll look to attack them in this one. And Butler doesn't really, he will every once in a while, but that's not really his game. I think Tyler should shoot 10, maybe 11, maybe 12 threes in this game. I like them make 3, 4, maybe even 5 if you're interested in like a ladder on threes. Don't do that very often. I'd rather just kind of stick with points, but and he's been lights out from deep this month. He's hitting 45.1% of his shots from 3-point range this month so far. He's got what I think is a pretty easy matchup. So I mean, statistically, they allow the 6th most points to shooting guards at 24.6 for the season. And over the last 30 days, they're averaging 27, which is the 4th most. So shooting guards have had good success. But I also I look at the matchup itself, and they got Kansas legend Oche Abachi, and then Taylor Horton Tucker. And if those are the guys that he's matching up with, I really like his chances. I think he can kind of I think he can rip those young guys to shreds, to be honest with you. So big game for Miami. I think he's going to get 37 minutes. I think he's going to take maybe even as high as 10 to 12 threes. And I just think he has the strengths where Utah has weaknesses, and I think he can capitalize on it in a big game.
Are you worried that Sheen might play? Duncan Robinson, he might get his 6 minutes a game.
Jimmy Neutron?
Yeah.
I'm not too worried about that. We did get news on Kyrie, by the way.
Yeah, so if anyone's listening, Kyrie Irving is ruled out, which I was kind of hoping for the sole reason that if he is out, that might mean that Josh Green gets more minutes, and I love that because I so want there to be a stronger guard play for Jaren Jackson to eat down low. So that I think that's very helpful that he's out.
Yeah, yeah, and Ginger Snap said he scored 29 versus the Jazz earlier in the season, but it was a bit of a different group, but still nonetheless, a nice stat to throw into the mix here for sure.
Yeah, I also think it's I do think, as you mentioned, Bam. I actually looked at Bam's under, and then I saw a bunch of people take his under, and that always scares me. Whenever an under becomes popular, I always kind of get that FanDuel tinfoil hat wizardry on my head, where if people collectively like an under because no one bets unders, I always feel like it there's something fishy there.
I almost want to experimentally bet Killian Hayes under assist because of how popular it is, but I don't want to be an asshole.
Yeah, but then you have to trust Killian Hayes. That's the issue.
No, I want under.
I know. You're right. Duh. You're right. You're right. Because everyone's taking the over.
By 1:00 a.m. yesterday, FanDuel was just hanging this line like this, and a lot of people jumped on it. Obviously, I get it. He had 23 potential assists last game, but something's fishy here, man. I don't know. Maybe I'll be dead wrong. Maybe he gets that double-double. Honestly, if you have money on it, I'm obviously not cheering.
I want to root for Killian Hayes. That sounds bad. I want people to win money, but I hope he scores 20 points along with this assist, because I would love to set up a nice fade spot for a tougher matchup, because
there you go.
That guy is just not good at basketball. Holy hell. It's honestly, it's like watching the guy at the YMCA that you root for him. He's last pick. He can pass decently, but man, his shot looks like a broken record. It's bad.
So quick, simple trivia. You should probably answer this fairly quickly. There was a point guard taken, a couple selections later after Detroit took Killian. Who was that?
Oh, I don't.
It's a guy that's been traded since. The team that took him has traded him since.
It wasn't Halliburton. Was that the same draft?
Yeah,
it was?
Sure. Yeah, Halliburton was a few picks.
Yeah, I knew that.
Was worried about Halliburton's jump shot.
Yeah, I knew that.
Supposedly, they were worried about his jump shot, and they took Killian Hayes instead.
I will say, ever since I did a live trivia show with Jerry on air, I second guess all my trivia because I missed the one Harden one that was a Philly question, and ever since, I can't be confident because I look like an asshole. So, the last spot I can go all CBB, all March Madness. I need opinions because I can't bet it unless I'm confident. But right now, if you take Chris Paul 8 assists with a pairing of DeAndre of 18 plus, it's plus 120. You can get plus 120 for 18-8.
I'm not mad at you.
In a crazy good matchup.
At that point, I almost rather just take the 0.5 and just take them straight. But
I think the plus 120 is if it was plus 100, no, but plus 120. And I mean, he's a guy where the reason I like to do this PNR combinations with Capella and Trae Young Embiid, Harden, is that if you're a big man scoring in some of these offenses, it's only because that PNR is working, and that's kind of how the Suns are doing. But yeah, like that's a tempting one. Plus 120. And
I thought quite a bit about that 18-5 line for DeAndre. I thought it would be pretty funny to hop on show and take your boy.
yeah, I'm gonna have to think about it because
Excuse me.
I want to play it straight, but at the same time, that PNR combo at plus 120, I don't know if he scores 20 points if Paul is not diming. That's my only thing.
Yeah,
that's my same thing with Joel Embiid. I take the 30-20. I mean the 38 all the time.
Yeah.
As good as Joel is, I mean he's getting the ball fed from James Harden. So that's one of those. The same thing with Ayton and Paul. Is that PNR is really worthwhile. So I might end up pulling that at plus 120 and then be the guy. I'll have 2 plus money picks. It'd be crazy. That's all I have
too.
Yeah,
so that would be 2 overs at plus money.
Yeah.
God damn, Brian's
Yeah.
a whole new gambler, guys.
Honestly, if I went with that, I would hope I go 0-2 or 2-0.
So that you never have to do it again.
Yeah, if I got a split, it'd be like really frustrating because I would be like either up at $20 or even. I would want like a complete downfall or like a successful run there. But that's all I had for the slate. I think it's a really fun slate. It might be a slate I end up live betting as I watch the games, but there's a lot of intriguing things going on here.
Yeah, I'm set for now. I actually will open up the possibility that in the next 20 minutes, I do drop a play because I have a lot of things on the top of my head that I'm just wondering where the open line's at. But in the meantime,
this is all Oaks.
It's fucking dude. It's fucking March Madness time. Let's get into some March. I mean this could be fairly loose Oaks, or but what are your initial thoughts? Do you think the number one seeds are right?
Do you guys have the college basketball itch? Like, I know playing games don't really get people going. I know the NIT tournament isn't a big deal, but like I got one I really like for the NIT tournament tonight. If you guys want to talk about that and get it out of the way. Toledo was absolutely robbed. The fact that the MAC continues to be a one-bid league is a little bit upsetting. Toledo played great ball down the stretch here, and they get a dog shit Michigan team tonight. And the Rockets, before they lost to Kent State and lost their auto bid to the dance because the MAC is a one-team league, the only game they lost before that in the final to Kent State to make the tournament was to Kent State. They won 18 in a row, leading into leading all the way up to the final game. Rockets got handled a little bit. They do normally struggle a little bit more away from their building than they do at home. But this Michigan team is fucking trash, and the fact that you can get Toledo +8 is a very soft line. I even have it projected ending. My projections have them right around 75, 79 to 80. So I think you're getting a lot of value here on a Toledo Rockets team that people don't know a ton about, and people are just going to keep hammering Michigan. I'm in Michigan. There's so many Michigan fans. There's so many Michigan casinos. Ohio is relatively new. Handles high on Michigan. It's a great spot to take Toledo as a dog here, and I think Toledo could win this game outright.
I am gonna take that. Actually, I like that. I also like when anyone goes on air to give out picks and uses the reasoning of this team is dog shit. I do think that's a very it's always very
gets my attention. I'm like, oh, okay, we're talking right now.
Yeah,
there's a free $25 bet basically. Or I mean, it looks like you can pretty much use it however the hell you want on FanDuel. I mean, I'm sure it varies for everybody, but it looks like you just bet you get your money back. And then there's also parlay insurance as well. So I mean, shit, that's kind of interesting. Hold on, is this game's tomorrow, isn't it?
Tonight, Tuesday. You're right. I'm sorry. It's Monday. My schedule's all jacked up. I apologize, but yeah.
Well, now what's the point? What's the point taking it now? It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
no, I'm kidding.
Yeah, sorry. I thought it was Tuesday already. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah,
it's all good. I just wanted to confirm.
Yeah, I apologize, but yeah, this Toledo team, 8 points is way too many for them. I have this projected I probably would have still played Toledo around +5. You start getting below 4.5. I start getting a little worried about a 2-possession push. But yeah, I like the Rockets here a lot in the NIT.
Nice.
I guess we'll kind of I guess the best way to kind of tackle this will be to look at the bracket, and then we'll just kind of go like from the bracket. I believe that's how Tone had it set up a little bit, and that actually really works for me. So let me
So,
pull up my bracket here.
Tone,
Um,
someone asked, you kind of half answered it, but someone in the chat did ask if you would still take them at +7.
would I
For
still take them at +7?
is
Yes.
there a unit recommendation you have? Would you go a little less, or would you still do
I
full
play
unit?
most of my straight bets to return 1 unit. I would take yeah, I'm taking this to return half a unit. So my unit's $50. I'm playing 27.50 to return $25 just because my volume over the next 6 days is going to be insane. Like I'm going to publish like 25, 30 fucking picks for this first round.
Yeah.
Because everybody is and everybody wants to eat. I will just mention if you only have +7, I don't think this game is up on FanDuel. It's +7.5 at -110 on MGM. Same thing over on Caesars. You can get the 8 at -115 on PointsBet.
I'm gonna take
And
that.
then everything else is pretty much 7.5. So I'm fine at 7. I'm fine at 7.5. I would play this all the way down to, let's call it 6.5, because I want 2 full possessions of 3s. If you're fine with a push, you could take 6. But 6.5, I think you're good with the hook there. But yeah, I would play that all the way down to 6 if you're comfortable with a push for money back.
Also, you can take Toledo to win the NIT at +9,000 if you're feeling a little. If you
Little
really feel.
Somebody in chat asked about Vandy versus who else? Versus Yale in the NIT. Had Vandy not gotten their doors blown off and made that a closer game, I would have said back Vandy without hesitation. But I think the Vandy Magic might be dead. And I knew these guys weren't going to talk a bunch of NIT tournaments, so I didn't dive into that one a ton. But give me till tomorrow and I'll tweet about it. So if you want to follow me on Twitter at Burroaks77, I'll tweet about the Vandy Yale game tomorrow for you after I dig into it a little more.
Word. Oaks, before you go on, I want to ask a quick little pick your brain question.
Of course,
Who is the best player in this tournament?
Best player in this tournament? Fuck,
Yeah,
man.
sorry, I put you on the spot. That's a tough one.
That's
no
a
notice at
really
all.
tough one.
Miller kind of comes to mind for Bama.
Jalen Wilson's a fucking dog. Jalen Wilson
Kansas.
from Kansas is a fucking dog.
Same
with Grady Dick. Grady Dick can get a little streaky and go cold, but when Grady Dick's playing a great game, that guy looks like a top 3 NBA pick.
Would you say
Wilson,
would you say that Brady Dick can like tend to go flaccid at times? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the dick stops being hard sometimes. Like sometimes you gotta run in the bathroom and give it a little encouragement at halftime.
It can get cold during the winter months. We totally get that. Anyways, so
tends to shrink a little bit, but no, Jalen Wilson on that squad is an absolute dog. He's phenomenal. Jalen Wilson's a fucking stud, dude.
As always, I just want to plug our sponsors, Pickett Sports and Boom Fantasy. If they ever watch the show, they would not sponsor us, but we appreciate you guys for being around. So Oaks, what are your thoughts overall on the tournament? I guess we're gonna go into a funnel system where you can maybe give your overall thoughts on some teams you like and kind of break it down as you go from there. But you are the college basketball guy I trust the most. So I'm gonna turn it to you and Will Hill. I do a show with Will. I like to listen to you guys.
Give me too much credit.
Yeah, no, I'm just I like the guys we have, and I like to kind of pick your brain.
For sure. I think Alabama got a great draw. I think that they're pretty safe here until they maybe, like, if San Diego State has the legs to make it past Charleston and past Virginia. I think that's a tough matchup for Alabama. I think Virginia is also a tough matchup there at the top half of the bracket. I think Creighton got a really tough draw because they're a super strong, like, higher seed that I think can come out of the lower end of that bracket in the South. Missouri versus Utah State might be the best 7-10 matchup we can see. Utah State plays absolutely phenomenal ball. They play out in the Mountain West, so people don't watch them a ton. I was huge on the Mountain West this year. I thought they were the fourth best conference in college basketball. So I watched a ton of their games. These boys can score from all three positions on the court, behind the arc, mid range, in the paint. They all these every one of these teams from the Mountain West is super old. They have a ton of seniors. They were active in the transfer market because, like, let's be honest, if you are an older dude and you know you're not going to the NBA, like, you kind of want to get out to the West Coast where the fucking weather and the women are gorgeous and you don't really have to go to class much and you can just play basketball and fucking stunt all the time. So that place is full of deep senior level talent that knows what to do in crunch time. I think this Missouri team is very, very good. They just had the bad luck of being in the SEC, which is a very, very good conference. And I think that both of these teams at 7 and 10 seeds are extremely underrated. I think either of them can make some noise if they advance. I would say that the hardest quadrant of the bracket by far is the West. So you got Kansas, who I think can win it all. UConn, who I think can win it all.
Can they win it all? I have
UConn.
UConn. I have UConn 38-1.
I think UConn can win it all. I have a future on them as well. Arkansas are very tough. Are going to be a very tough out. VCU are total fucking dogs. TCU it could make a deep run here as a 6 seed if Nevada wins the play-in game over ASU. If Arizona State wins that play-in game, I think they give TCU problems. Arizona State's one of the best defensive teams in the country. The problem is they're young. They have a lot of freshmen. But I think that play-in game versus Nevada will be really good. I was a little surprised to see Nevada make it. They've just been choking here down the stretch, but played really good basketball all year. That group has Gonzaga in it. It's got UCLA. Like, the West is hands down going to be murderer's row. That's going to be the hardest bracket to come out of. And whoever comes out of that one, I think, should be favored to win the tournament because they will be the most battle-tested team.
Nice.
Yeah, I like that a lot because I love listening to people talk about college basketball in this tournament. Because this tournament, I mean, obviously, it's so fun for everybody. I wish I hated people enough to give out my thoughts and my like picks from this and that because I do follow it a lot the last 2 or 3 weeks. Like I start to get like really honed into it. So I do like what your comment was because I watch a lot of UConn basketball. I'm also a little biased. I like UConn basketball just overall because they want me a lot of money because my first ever like bracket pool I won was when they were the 7th seed and they won it all. I had them to win it all.
Kemba?
So yeah, that was a fun
Everybody
time.
loves Kimba running up on a table, dude. Like, those are the college basketball moments we live for. And yeah, like I said early in the season, I thought this UConn team was the most complete team in the country. They obviously hit some stumbling blocks. The Big East is a fucking war zone, by the way, guys. So,
Yeah.
like, don't let records fool you. Big East basketball, I rank, is probably the second toughest conference in college
I watch a lot of Big
basketball.
East.
Yeah.
Out here in the
I'm a big St. John's guy. I really like Posh Alexander. I liked when they had Champagny there too. So I was a big John's guy the last couple of seasons.
I watched that game too with St. John's and UConn, and that was one of those. That's actually where I decided to put the future on UConn, where I had a boost to get them 35-1 because St. John's been a really nice push, and that's like I said, tough place to play, tough play conference.
Out of John's.
Yeah, and then they started to just like they came out of timeout and went on this like 11-0 run, and I was watching with my girlfriend's dad, and I was like, man, they hit that stumble like, and I think that actually kind of helps teams where if you go like super high up to start the year, you hit the stumble early, and then you start
Yup.
picking up momentum again. I usually like to trust that because when you're in a one and done tournament, the teams that come in super hot sometimes can be scary because they like there is something to be said about being humble.
Memphis right
Yeah,
now. Everybody should
yeah,
be fucking terrified of Memphis. That team, I said back on January 31st when I did the show with you and Will Hill when you were wearing the Eagles jacket. I
yeah,
said this Memphis team is full of dogs. They're worth a sprinkle to win the whole thing. And
yeah.
then beating Houston yesterday, like, you know, no offense, like I get it when there's chalk plays and they're boosted. I know everybody's on those. And like, I wasn't trying to be a dick, but like, dude, I watched that Memphis team play Houston twice. I knew they were winning that fucking game, dude. Like, Memphis are absolute dogs, and they should scare the shit out of Purdue. Because if Memphis manages
Yeah.
to win their first game, they can knock Purdue out of this tournament because they have the athletes, they have the coaching, they know how to make Edie move and make him uncomfortable, which takes him
Yeah.
out of the game. And we see that when Purdue doesn't have Edie and he's not getting to his spot, that team's garbage.
Penn State did that really well yesterday too, where Edie was cooking them alive, and then but like to close out the game, Edie they played in such a way where Edie had to sit for a few minutes, and they went a little smaller. They matched up better, where they started even like double or triple tipping him, and then once he became ineffective, he had to come out, and then he sat for a solid 5 minute stretch where the Penn State was able to come back a little bit. So I do think if you're a team that relies on a big man, that as good as he is in college basketball, he's not super polished, despite being way more polished than he was the last 2 years. I do think Purdue will struggle if they get in those situations where if he's not able to just dominate and give them easy baskets.
He's not going to be able to just park in the
Yeah.
paint either. Like
Yeah.
this Memphis team is full of fucking athletes that'll just make you sprint end to end of the court for 40 minutes. They have great guards. They move the ball super well. They force you to come out and guard them. And they got dudes with absolutely no fear who will drive to the rim on ED2 and they can get him in foul trouble because they do it clean. They got guys that hit fucking step back fadeaways in from like the 12 to 18 foot range that just absolutely give people fits. Like this Memphis team are dogs, dude. Like I could easily see them coming out of that bracket tough. I think their hardest challenge is on would come from the other side of the bracket. Like I think a Marquette team would be very tough for them. Kansas State down there is really tough. I think Providence has what it takes to beat Kentucky. Like so yeah, I kind of gave some overview there, but like if Tone wants to go like up to the south, I'll just kind of give a breakdown on the regions and we'll funnel it that way. We'll get to like Final Four and talk some of those matchups if that's cool with you guys.
We probably go over a little bit, but I'm okay with that to talk some college basketball. If we go over like 4 or 5 minutes, whatever.
Yeah, we'll miss the pick and popular play segment, but dude, it's March Madness. It's time to celebrate. So
yeah,
go for it.
So, as I mentioned, I don't see a huge challenge to Alabama. I don't think they're really worth talking about at this point. I think this Maryland West-Va game is excellent. Maryland struggle a ton away from home. I don't respect the Big Ten. I'll tell this to everybody out there. Big Ten, super overrated. It's like, oh, well, we're the black and blue division. All we do is beat each other up. I watched I watched Wisconsin win a fucking game with 43 points this season. Like, don't give me that shit. The Big Ten is trash, and y'all are going to get fucking worked by West Virginia, who played in the Big 12, which was the hardest conference in all of college basketball. These teams are pretty even at the free throw line. Maryland will get to the free throw line more. Both teams are good at shooting and defending the threes. They're both good in the mid-range and weak at defending the mid-range. West Virginia has a little bit of an edge there. West Virginia is way better in the paint and on the glass at both ends of the floor. Give me West-Va -2. I jumped in on this last night when the lines came out at -1.5. I'd take West-Va all the way to -3. West-Va is going to beat Maryland here in advance.
Nice. Love it.
I like that. I like that only because side thing. I want to take all your steam, but there's a lot of love for Maryland too. So I do think it takes it takes balls to to kind of take those kind of spreads where I know Maryland's, as someone that went to school in Maryland, I know they're kind of that sweetheart team, but sometimes you got to look at it more objectively, which I do appreciate from someone like you.
Yeah, well, the Westlaw had put like, dude, like I said, they played in the Big 12. Like they were playing Kansas twice, Baylor twice, TCU twice. Like even Texas Tech, I think, is better than a majority of fucking Big 10 teams. So like, and you got Bobby Huggins on the sideline. So one, you know he's gonna come out in a tracksuit, like looking fresh as fuck with his big gold teddy bear chain. And like, dude, Bobby Huggins knows how to fucking coach. Westlaw winning that game.
Love it.
I think that SDSU is really dangerous in that in that side of the bracket as well. I think they get a terrible matchup with Charleston. Charleston's playing really good basketball. I think they're a little underseeded as a 12. This feels like it could be a 5-12 upset spot. The reason I don't think it is, I'm not playing the spread on this one. San Diego State might be the deepest team in the country. They, in college basketball, I think you only have 9 or 10 guys on the bench. SDSU went through so many injuries, they will play 9 guys for 40 minutes. They do not care. They have the depth and experience that if people are in foul trouble, everybody that comes off of the bench is not a decrease in their performance. It's a senior elite level player that knows how to get the job done, knows how to win in crunch time. They're very secure with the basketball. They turn people over. They can hit shots from all 3 levels, and they do not miss at the free throw line. SDSU, very old, very deep team that's going to be a tough out. Virginia Furman, not super worth talking about. I know you're a Virginia guy, Ryan. I think Virginia.
I fucking hate UVA.
Oh, okay.
UVA,
Well, UVA
they're miserable to watch.
Yeah, they're garbage to watch. This game is good. Like if Furman gets hot from 3 and can play in transition, they'll make it a game. But other than that, Virginia's gonna smother them. Creighton NC State is actually a fantastic matchup. Creighton played really good ball. They played really bad ball. Well, their center Claxton had mono. They got this lefty 3-point shooter that can absolutely shoot the lights out. But like I said, their big man runs this team. He shoots like 85 fucking percent from the floor. Like he's a monster. He's not as tall as Edie, but like he's way stronger around the rim. So when it gets in the paint, like all he does is make those close hook shots in the paint. NC State's getting hot at the right time here. But Creighton have a massive edge in free throws, free throw attempts. The biggest thing that NC State can do here is they turn people over like machines. So if Creighton can take care of the ball, they win this game pretty handedly. But NC State is just really hot at the right time, and that makes this a little bit of a trouble spot, in my opinion. But Creighton's very good, and I think they have the legs to make some noise here. That said, Baylor versus USCB, I don't really think is worth talking about. I kind of touched on Missouri versus Utah State earlier. And what I want to say about that one is Utah State, by the metrics, is pretty much better in every category. That said, the line was wrong. It opened up as Missouri being +2.5 and plus money on the money line. That's going to switch and flip. I bought in on Missouri. If I get Missouri to walk all the way to -2.5, I am buying out of those tickets immediately and jumping on Utah State. The reason I want to talk about this one so much is because I think Utah State and Missouri are both teams that are severely underrated. I think this line is going to flip, and I think there's a lot of money to be made if you jumped in on Missouri early, and before tip, you'll be able to switch and make some money without the game playing out and jump on Utah State.
Nice. Yeah, I'm sitting here looking at it. It's a 7-10, but the 10 is favorited, which is kind of like an interesting change from when I filled out a bracket as a kid. Like I get to use like the bookmaker's thoughts on the game in a sense to fill out my bracket, which I don't necessarily know if I'm going to do that, but just kind of like a different phase of life and filling out a bracket. If I'm completely stumped, like I can just go kind of look at like what's FanDuel thinks going to happen in this one. So it's interesting. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
there's a 7-10 where the 10's a favorite.
Next up, moving down in the bracket, we kind of already touched on this. Florida Atlantic drawing Memphis is a really tough draw.
Did we lose him?
Atlantic won
Oh, there you
31 games this season. Like, I know they play in a little bit of a soft conference, but they had to play UAB and Jelly Walker, who I think is an absolute stud. This is a tough first matchup for Memphis. I think they win here. And like I said, if Memphis game, I think that they can make a deep run. Atlantic is going to get the better of them in a lot of metrics, but Atlantic didn't really play, buddy. And Memphis played a very tough this season. Give me Memphis. I know, Ryan, you went to an Oral Roberts game, but I think that Duke is just way too hot at the right time. I thought Duke was going to completely miss the tournament. They got good and heated up in the ACC tournament. Miami. It was really unfortunate to see Miami's kind of only center and rim protector go down, but still gave an absolute dogfight to Duke. The way they win this game is they're number one in the country at shooting threes. So if they hit 40% of their threes like they occasionally can do, then they're going to do really well. If they don't hit 40% of every three they take, they're going to get their asses whooped by Duke.
Fair enough.
Kentucky versus Providence in that one. I know I can win that one outright, but I'd recommend Providence +4 right now. Huge X factor in this one. Hopkins is on Providence now. He was a freshman who committed to University of Kentucky, got very little playing time, went to Providence, made a huge impact. He's also an Oak Park River Forest Chicago kid, so little connection to me there. But I think Providence has what it takes to beat University of Kentucky here. Kentucky are absolutely dog shit at the stripe. Providence is elite. Both teams shoot threes well. Kentucky is a little bit better in the paint, but if you can get their big man in trouble, it's going to be a problem. And Providence will steal the ball out from under you all game long. They are absolute pests on the ball. They create about 12 to 14 turnovers a game. I love Providence here. I think this is a really nice upset spot for an 11 over a 16.
Nice. Word.
Do you guys want to keep going? Am I keeping you guys from shit? Like
it's up to tone. It's up to tone stamp. Honestly, I have no plans. No one ever hangs out with me.
I'm all good. We can keep going. We got other parts of the bracket to get to.
Sweet. Then real quick, Michigan State versus USC. USC is going to win that one. Sorry, I'm friends with a lot of Michigan State guys. I know NJC, our media lead, is a Michigan State guy. Michigan State, you're dog shit, and you don't even deserve to be in this tournament. I'm sorry. Like, I'd much rather see like a UAB team in here. I'd much rather see a smaller division school. That said, I think this was absolutely genius putting these two against each other, because you got Michigan State, a Big Ten powerhouse, huge name, going against USC, who, guess what? They're in the Big Ten now. That's a great talking point for the tournament. Wow, that's going to make a lot of noise for the Big Ten. Wow, oh my God, it's almost like these guys make content for a fucking living. So I thought that was a genius marketing move by them. As a guy who's also in the content game, that's going to provide hours of content for them. Both of these teams like the threes.
What a selfish plug for your OnlyFans, right there. That was ridiculous.
Both of these teams like the threes. MSU loves the threes. They take more threes than anybody else in the country, slightly more than Oral Roberts. USC has a massive advantage at the rim. These guys play above the rim, they play in the paint, and they should absolutely body Michigan State here. This game's going to be won and lost on the glass with rebounds. Give me USC +2.
Nice. I like that.
Moving over to the other side.
This notebook is just bringing me so much joy.
Houston, I think, has the easiest path to the Final Four if Miami's center isn't healthy. If Miami gets their guy back and he's ready to go, Miami's a problem. That said, I think this Iowa-Auburn game is tight. I think the metrics favor Iowa here. Tough travel. This game's in down in Birmingham. So it's essentially a home game for Auburn, which works really well for them because Auburn struggles insanely away from their building. So I like Auburn here close to home. Auburn's better offensively in pretty much every category except ball security. If Iowa can turn Auburn over 15 to 20 times, they might stand a chance. I'm on Auburn money line at -110 here. This is a true coin flip game for the books. Being in Birmingham, I love Auburn here.
Nice.
Let's see. Okay, this one is the game that Quoon is going to fucking hate me for because Kent State are absolute dogs. Mac always produces a team that shocks people in the tournament. I don't think this is going to be a shock. Indiana's they're kind of dog shit, and Kent State is very, very good. Give me Kent State plus the points. Give me Kent State money line. They're going to work Indiana here.
Nice.
I can feel
if it makes you
watched.
If we can give credit to Quan, he has tweeted several times that he's like 86% sure that IU is out after this before it even starts. He's acknowledging that they had the worst draw ever, which is kind of funny about Selection Sunday. Is I watched it and man, you really can have make or break paths based on where the hell they decide to put you, and they got a terrible draw after that loss to Penn State. Yeah, a terrible draw.
And rightfully so. And Kent State's playing great basketball. Like I said, I'm a MAC guy. I went to NIU. I still live by Western Michigan, so I go to a lot of the games there. I've seen this Kent State team play in person. They're dogs. I forget his name. The guard they have, something Carey, dude.
Sincere.
He's what's up?
It's like his name is Sincere.
Yeah.
Sincere Carey. Yeah. Dude, senior guard, absolute stud, MAC player of the tournament, MAC player of the year. Like, this dude can do it all. He shoots over 80% from the free throw line. He can create his own shot. He can create space, and he's fearless driving to the rim. And when he plays above the rim and he goes to the line, it's over. That's a 3-point play. So I really like Kent State there. Let's see. Sticking on that side of the bracket, I think that's really the only super interesting game in that part of the bracket. Moving down to the West, like I said, Kansas, I really like. I think Arkansas, Illinois is going to be a great game, and I believe that is, it's not the first, but it's one of the sooner games. Arkansas is really stout defensively. Both these teams are atrocious at the free throw line. Arkansas is really toughened in the paint and plays above the rim. Arkansas is slightly better at second chance points. Give me Arkansas. I just don't respect the Big Ten enough. And even though this is a short trip for U of I, and I think the crowd will be lit because it's in Des Moines, I think Arkansas are just the better basketball team. Another 5-12 that I think is really, really good here is VCU over St. Mary's. St. Mary's, they played tougher competition. They did play out on the West Coast, so I didn't catch a ton of their games. Metrically, they come across better on paper. This VCU team, if you watch them, it's just wall-to-wall dogs. Dudes who will give you 40 minutes of the hardest the hardest LA Fitness basketball you've ever seen in your entire life. They do not quit on rebounds. They turn you over. They'll have 5 guys going to the floor after a loose ball. They get to the paint. They work the shot clock. They rabid animals. Like, this VCU team does not care. And I think that they are a major problem here. Give me VCU in the points and give me the money line, because I think they're beating St. Mary's. This team is special. Defense travels. They get their shots when they need them. But this team's got 5 dudes who would rather fucking never play another basketball game again than lose a basketball game.
Gotta respect that. That's just been VCU style for so long now.
Facts. And they play really good ball. The last one I'll talk about is the last kind of close matchup I think I have some action on is Northwestern versus Boise State. Again, I don't respect the Big Ten. I like Boise State here, but this is a rock fight. I'll be shocked if this game has 100 points in it. Both of these offense.
Well, we're losing him a little bit there.
Yeah, not catching what he's saying here. A game with less than 100 points would be wild. We lost you, Oaks, but you're back now.
Are you good now, Oaks? Right. Oaks, don't you have a show?
Yeah, sorry. I was having a little internet issue. But yeah, I mean, this game could stay under 100 points. This is a rock fight. I think this will be the lowest over/under open in the tournament. Boise State is better at threes, and they're much better in the paint. The biggest concern here is turnovers. Northwestern does turn people over. Boise's not super secure with the basketball, but I like Boise State. Give me the +1.5 just in case this is a 1-point game like Boise when they got knocked out last year. But I'm pretty comfortable here saying money line as well, because I don't see it from Northwestern. I know they made a lot of noise in the Big Ten, but like I said, I don't respect the Big Ten. And it's Northwestern, guys. Like, they're there for book learning. They ain't there to play basketball.
Touche.
Boise State, they're there to drink and play basketball. Northwestern, some of those guys want to be like doctors and lawyers and shit. No. Boise State's there to get drunk and play basketball. So give me that team.
Yeah, fair enough. I could support that.
Wow, we covered a lot, but holy hell, that was I'm gonna have to play this back and watch as I lose all my bracket challenges.
Yeah, me too.
I do think this is such a fun time of the year, and I do think it's always a calm before the storm where like every show has the breakdown. You kind of hear, you kind of like get your ideas, you formulate things, and then Thursday just comes at you like a brick wall where everything starts happening. Holy hell, it's such a fun time.
Yep, I cannot wait.
Same. I'm actually I'm heading back to Chicago to hang with all my NIU buds. We do a big tournament party every year, so I'm heading over to my boy. Shout out Danny Smith for hosting.
Out of all the fake names you could have picked, you went with Dan Smith. All right, I see that. Yeah.
Actual real name, but that's why I'm comfortable saying it, because like if you Google Danny Smith, like you're gonna just get 9 trillion results.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I have to head out because I have to hang out with my friend John Johnson. So he's at the door. He's been waiting to hang out all day. But no, this is a good show. We talked a lot of NBA, a lot of college basketball. March Madness is coming up. We appreciate you guys. Do you guys have any closing thoughts you guys want to like sign out with? My closing thought is look out. Joel Embiid MVP propaganda is back. I'm all for it. Ryan, what's your closing thought? And if you have anything want to say bye or anything, and then we'll go to Oaks for closing thoughts.
Give me Jaden Hardy point props. That's all I got. I want Jaden Hardy point props.
Good closing thought there. Oaks, yep. What's your closing thought? We're gonna start doing this. Closing thoughts.
I'm gonna do a nice plug for our sponsor here. Boom Fantasy has super stepped up their game for college player props. I was super excited to use them and get involved for these conference tournaments. They've been putting some great lines out there. I will be using Boom and sharing a bunch of Boom stuff for people that are in non-gambling states and get places like, Ryan's at, where you have gambling, but you don't get college player props. I love what Boom's been offering, especially on their pick'ems, toss-ups, and long shots. That they've really, really stepped up their market there. So I'm excited to be partnered with them and using them for tournament season.
Hell yeah, man.
Awesome. When we to close out, that's a good closing thought. We appreciate Boom Fantasy Pickett Sports for being a sponsor of the show. We appreciate everyone that comes in the chats and watch. And we will see you guys next week.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you guys having me on. Thank you.
Absolutely.